Good morning, guys. How are you guys today?
Good.
No, I'm good. Thanks, fine, guys. Our topic for today is intra-industry trade, intra and intra-industry trade, and the impact on supply chain economics. So we're just going to talk a bit about it, explain basic concepts about it, and go into a bit more detail by explaining certain industries as well. Are you guys fine with that?
Yes.
Okay. Bentley, we're going to start with you. Just quickly give us a definition for inter-industry trade.
Inter-industry trade is basically you're in different industries, and like you trade to, like for example, India's, for example, produces a lot of rice and exports it to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is, for example, has a lot of Saudi Arabia's.
So basically what you're trying to get to is when companies trade with each other for different types of products in different types of industries. So if we go look at a company like Tesla or Ford, for example, that's importing certain parts for their manufacturing process from China, India, especially China and Taiwan, when it comes to the computer components, but Taiwan, China, India is exporting cars from America again, or from Tesla itself. So you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then, Gideon, can you give us a quick definition of intra-industry trade, please?
Okay, so intra-industry trade is like the exchange of similar products belonging to the same industry. So yeah, it's quite self-explanatory there.
Okay. Thanks, man. Etienne, just give us a quick example about intra-industry trade.
Okay, so for example, if the US produces harvest machinery better than China, but China produces logging machinery better, China should specialize in logging machinery, and the US should specialize in harvest machinery, rather than both nations producing both types of machinery. So both China and the US import and export machinery, but the need for efficiency and specialization helps drive intra-industry trade.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's not like flooding markets if everyone's creating the same product, but it's not the same quality as the other one. So there's not this massive market. It's like America specializes in John Deere. John Deere is this massive brand. It's a very good brand. So they specialize in that, export it, and like everyone wants to buy a John Deere. You don't want to buy a Massey Ferguson or something. You want a John Deere because it's so good. They've specialized in building it. The quality is just so good.
Yes,
and because intra-industry, like it also leads to product quality and remember also product variety and because then what you guys said, it's specialization and it's all about specialization.
It basically creates competition. Like you always want to be better than your competitor on the for example.
And what better thing to lead with innovation than a competitive market?
Yeah, and developed nations, the EU are more likely to engage in intra-industry trade because of similarity of their production capabilities. So developed nations can produce similar goods, but it would not be efficient for every nation to produce all the goods that it needs.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't charge tariffs on each other in the EU. So it would be much easier if, say, England specializes in a product and Germany specializes in another product to come together and make something else, like a car. They say the UK specializes in one piece of the car and Germany specializes in the department of the car. They come together, put these pieces together to make the best car.
Yeah, and for example, maybe like for say Ford specializes in SUVs, and like German specialize for example in more like sport cars, and then they can basically trade, and both of them can produce what they are good in.
Yeah, it's like
It
they
makes
talk about it now.
is
With the new Ranger that came out and the new Amarok, they work together to create the drivetrain, the new engine, the gearbox, and everything like that. And now it's honestly a really good bucket. So yeah, that's actually a quite relative example of something that jumped in now.
Well,
And
but
that's
that can again lead to like increased competition. That's a disadvantage for Toyota again.
Yeah, Toyota knows they have to step up their game to compete with the rest. It breeds competition. It keeps everyone going.
Yes, and it's also a big advantage of intra-industry trade is it fosters product development and innovation.
Yeah, because everyone wants to be on top. They keep on doing research to be the best and keep on developing new technology, things like that.
Okay,
Well,
guys.
but don't you think like that can then lead like to job losses? Because like let's take Amarok and Volkswagen with the Toyota Bakkie, they need to cut down the cost, like just to make up to remain competitive in the market. If that intra-industry trade takes place.
Yeah, I think it makes the product more expensive, but you want to buy the best product. So
It's not
for
necessarily
example,
going to make it more expensive though, because with intra-industry trade, you get innovation in your production capabilities as well. And you
yeah,
should consider it because you're employing less people, but at the end of the day, your overall products become cheaper to produce because most of the things are being automated and just production cheaper base costs. So it's a win-lose situation for most of the people in the economy, depending on how you want to look at it. But it also creates jobs again because you're doing development in new industries. And with the new industries being developed or broadened, you basically employ more people as well.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
For example, like I know Tesla also imports a lot of like other electric cars, and then it uses those cars to check and see how it can improve its own cars.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
actually
because
true.
they want to stay on top.
No.
But that's why they got a huge shipment from a Hyundai or Toyota now with their new hydrogen fuel cells as well.
Yeah, they want to see where they can better to, like, I mean, if you keep on specializing in a product and you stay the best, people will keep on buying your product. So if you keep seeing what the competition's doing, you can stay ahead of them and just keep on grinding it out.
No, that's true.
And a country produces what they have comparative advantage in, and when it has a lower opportunity cost when producing the good.
Okay. So how would you guys say overall it affects your supply chain economics?
For example, like in intra-industry trade, it creates basically competition. So everyone tries to be better than its competitor, and overall, the prices, basically the prices, everyone tries to improve, and everyone specializes in a certain part, maybe of the Volkswagen. It stays in the manufacturing, but everyone specializes in a certain part, and overall, you're going to give better prices to your customers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I actually saw an interesting research paper. I sent it on the group for you guys, but I'm not expecting you guys to read it. It's like 120 pages. It was the impact of inter and intra-industry trade on technological development in third world or developing countries. So with inter-industry trade, it was less likely to develop faster. There's actually 3 research papers I got about this, which was an interesting fact. But with inter-industry trade, countries normally develop slower and adopt new technology slower than with intra-industry trade. However, when it comes to sub-Saharan African countries, it's with inter-industry trade where we adopted technologies faster. But there's also a lot of legal constraints regarding to it, or not legal constraints, policy restraints, and other factors that has to be taken into account. If you go, okay, political factors and economical factors or trade barriers as well is one of the bigger ones. But if we go look at the history where, for example, in South Africa, we were one of the first countries in the world with streetlights. It's there by Kimberley's Big Hole.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay, do you guys have an overall example or definition about what we just discussed today? Or conclusion you want to give us?
Well, I think the conclusion is it promotes competition, definitely. It drives people to compete in other markets to see where to they can expand, and companies to join with each other to make alliances to benefit both of them, like the Ford and Volkswagen that we mentioned. It forces them to make this new, well, not new, but a better product than the one before. It causes innovation.
And would you,
and I also
and I sorry,
I
go on,
also
Bendy.
I also think in like inter-industry trade, there's also a lot of risk. Basically, for example, if you maybe like in the cotton industry where you make cotton and all that, and you see it's more cost effective to maybe produce fruit, there's a lot of labor that's going to lose jobs in the basically the cotton industry, and then a lot of new labor is going to go to the basically to creating fruit.
Well, you can still, all of that labor, you can still learn them to work with citrus fruits and things like that. It'll just take time. So it's going to cost you a bit to teach them how to work with this new product and everything. It is going to cost you, but in the long run, you will eventually make your money back. But it's just, that's going to cost you.
I think the big step is also going to be where you go from like labor-intensive industries to more technological industries where you produce more and manufacture more products that's more complex than just producing fruits and all that.
Yeah, it's like agriculture versus anything you produce in or create or in a warehouse, like the car manufacturing industry.
Yeah, no, that's true. But the car industry is an interesting factor because there's permanently inter and intra-industry trade going on within the company itself.
Yeah.
So it probably gains advantages from both, or some of the advantages from both the aspects or concepts of the economic field. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how it develops in the future, especially when we look at full automation now and with how scarce some of our resources are getting, or not scarce, where the production becomes more complex and requires higher quality products normally to get a better end result.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's scary because like according to the WTO, intra-industry trade like account for like about 2/3 of the world's total trading goods. Yeah, and it's also more common around your developed countries, like you guys said, in the EU and the USA and China and all that kind of countries. It's more there. Yeah, it accounts for about 80% of a trade between developed countries, while it accounts for only about 3% of a trade between developed and developing countries. So it's quite scary. But then you get your trade policies again. For the intra, like the trade policies create barriers to entry for foreign firms, because it can lead like to a reduction in the volume of trade between countries. and it can also like lead to a decrease in competition. But the effect then will be like, it can lead to higher prices for consumers in both countries.